Good evening and welcome to OmniBros Live, a special Friday edition, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness review, non-spoilers and spoilers, where we're going to spoil the hell out of it. So the first part is going to be non-spoilers, and I am OmniDog616, joined by Omniverse Collector and Comics Guide.
Hey.
To your private chat, Omniverse Collector, LOL.
We got the whole Illuminati going on here.
Illuminati, right?
Illuminati.
The OG OmniBros. We're all here. Let's see.
OmniBros Classic.
Wow, yeah, it's been a minute since we've had this lineup.
That's right. Okay, there. Now you can see my face. Okay, so
Jess, I'm surprised that you got to see it. You went, I think you were the first of all three of us yesterday to see it.
I saw it at 3:30 in Real D 3D because that was the only showing available, and it was like really enjoyable in 3D.
And you weren't going to bother with kids.
I didn't. Yeah, we liked it. My movie buddy and I like to go in the middle of the day, in the middle of the week, and you're right. It was totally spontaneous. I'm usually not the first of us. I'm usually the last of us to see it, except for Gio, who won't go out, and I don't blame him. But
it's nice to not be like scared of spoilers for so long.
Oh, because we can, once we talk about spoilers, I can tell you what one I got hit with accidentally, and it ended up not ruining the movie for me, because the character that got spoiled, I can't really say without spoiling.
We'll come back to that.
We'll come back to it.
Let's do. We have a sponsor.
We do. There it is, and let's see. Gio has official. There it is. InStockTrades.com, where you can get your collected editions up to, well, it says save up to 42% on DC Comics, but they also have special releases where you can get up to 48% off. In the damages and spring sale, you can get them up to 65% off, and loyalty discount adds 2% to that at InStockTrades.com. At the end of every month, we give away a free $50 gift card, good for credit at InStockTrades.com, courtesy of InStockTrades.com. $50 or more in shipping gets you free ship. No, $50 in an order gets you free shipping anywhere in the United States. Fabulous customer service, fabulous packaging. That's InStockTrades.com. Right on.
And, on the topic of our show, they've got several Doctor Strange books that you can pick up right now. I'm looking at the inventory. Let me just type in Doctor Strange because they have the newest omnibus. There's a couple recent ones. There's the Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme Volume 3 that came out. Both the DM and the regular cover came out on different dates, but they are available now. And the two covers for the Doctor Strange by Jason Aaron is also available. And then there's the classic Doctor Strange Volumes 1 and 2 are both available. So the only ones that aren't available as far as Omnis go are Sorcerer Supreme 1 and 2. Then there's a bunch of other like paperbacks and whatnots.
Marvel and I am a huge fan of that Doctor Strange by Jason Aaron. Huge fan. And Chris Baccello. I think I learned his name is pronounced Baccello. So I love that Aaron run. I've read it a bunch of times, and I really, really love it. He wrote it with a great sense of humor, but also a great story. And we have artist formerly known as Jesse Say What. Shout out to the bros. Big Stu says big hi and big friends. We've got Chris is excited for the future after seeing this movie. Yeah.
Yeah, there was I saw Chris's comment on one of my recent TikToks about something that we'll talk about later, but I was very excited when that happened too.
I went to AMC.
I did too.
Oh.
Wait, no, I went to Cinemark, my bad.
Oh. I went to AMC, and as I said, I saw it in 3D, and Torsten says those jump scares must have been crazy in 3D. He also says the less you know going in, the better, which is true. I only had that one thing spoiled for me, and it turned out to be not a big deal. I'm going to let you guys lead the non-spoiler discussion because I'm not sure yet how to discuss this without spoiling it. I was not able to. I saw what those looked like, and they were boss. They were Doctor Strange, like ice cube, clear ice cube buckets. They were like this big, and they came in 2 colors, but they weren't available at my show. And there was something else that they were giving, that AMC was giving away, that was really cool. I can't remember what it was, but those cube buckets were boss looking. I would have come home with that though, and my wife would have said, "Uh-huh, and where's that going?"
In the trash.
Here's our buddy Hayden. How's it going, Hayden? Good to see you. Yeah, the less you know going in, the better is true. I don't know. Can I say that the antagonist surprised me without giving anything away?
So
Okay.
I was shocked by the antagonist. Let's see. Okay, I can tell you what I loved. Besides everything about it, it's in my top 5 MCU movies now. It's totally in my top 5. I thought it had a great story, great directing, great acting, great score. Danny Elfman totally still has it. What else was great about it? Cinematography, the way it was edited. As you can tell by Torsten's comment with the jump scares, that's a Sam Raimi trademark because he came from, the horror industry, but he did great Spider-Man movies, and I loved everything about this movie. It had that little line of humor that went through it to make it just light enough. The mystery protagonist that was with Doctor Strange, I thought was an awesome character, that was a really good actress. I don't know how you pronounce her first name, but what else can I say without spoiling it? I don't know. I just thought it was brilliant. There wasn't a bad moment in it for me. It had so much going for it that the more I think about it, it may be like right up there with Winter Soldier.
Big words, Jess.
Yeah. So that's my first. That's probably the best I can do, leading off without spoiling it. Horror mixed in with the cinematography really surprised me. Apparently, yes, it is. Tristan, I'm going to have to screen every comment to make sure. Yes, without spoilers, I love that it wasn't predictable. I fully expected one particular scene to play out one way, and it went the complete opposite way. I will agree with that. I totally agree with that. And how did you guys feel about it? I know when we get to the spoilers that Lou and I have a disagreement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm going to tear it apart. No.
I don't know anything about disagreements because I haven't talked to anyone except for like.
Yeah, it was close to as good as Winter Soldier. That's what I'm saying.
Do you want to go, Lou, or do you want me to riff?
I think I'm gonna have the dissenting opinion on this. So I'll let you go, Riley, before I say something.
Okay.
Okay, Lou's not going to be taking part in our discussion tonight. So F Lou.
I had a really great time with it, and like it's not I don't know where I'd if I had to place things. I don't know. Like I don't really think about that.
Well, I will say, of course, movies are even more subjective than comic books. Like all three of us will agree on a comic book, but I'm actually not surprised Lou might feel differently because everyone feels so differently about movies and TV.
This one especially I'm finding is extremely divisive because it's like, well, Raimi is a divisive director in general, I believe.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
And like I went into it, I'm going to say first off, whomever commented before, like the less you know going in, the better.
Yeah.
I literally only watched the first trailer. That's generally my rule, is to try to only watch the first trailer. I don't watch like different, ads, TV spots, additional trailers. I just try to watch that first teaser, especially if I'm very interested in something, because I don't want to have anything like affect my perception going in and like what my expectations are going to be. And that's something that I've seen because I made a couple of videos on TikTok this morning talking about it, and a couple of spoilery videos talking about certain aspects of it. And I'm going to close off this tab. It's making noise.
Oh, all right.
One of the things that I stated was like, I know that Raimi is divisive, but I absolutely love his horror movies. I love the Evil Dead movies. I love Army of Darkness. I love the TV show that was canceled recently. I love the, Drag Me to Hell. I love the horrific aspects in the Spider-Man movies, were some of the better parts of it for me. And that, like, really, this movie, and so many people have said it, but like, I want to hammer it home. Like, this is his movie. Like, for the most part, I'm going to say outside of the first 30 minutes, the first 30 minutes is very like MCU fare. And then once you get to a certain point, it just shifts and it's like, this is a Sam Raimi movie. And like, there's so many like just stylistic choices that he makes with the way that he directs the movie and the cinematography and all this stuff. Even like the humor is Sam Raimi's humor, not MCU humor. It's his like kind of cheesy, awkward, stuff that happens in his horror movies, and it works so well for me because I'm already a fan of that. And the way I described it in the video that I made earlier was, if it is Sam Raimi's cheesy horror style in an MCU movie, but if you are lactose intolerant, it's probably not going to be
lactose intolerant.
I can see that.
I love, like, I was talking to my wife in the car. Like, I came. I'm in Houston right now in my dad's office. This is not my sports memorabilia, but I was on the phone with her just like 15 minutes before I got here, and I was talking about it with her because we went to see it last night and didn't really get a chance to talk about it. And I had mentioned something about like the how cheesy it was to her, and like that how heavily that works for me. And it's to her, I was like, I lean more into that because I'm the guy who loves watching the shitty horror sequel movies. Like, I'm the guy who loves watching Halloween 4 through whatever that are terrible movies, but they're so fun. They're so like, it's cheesy, it's fun, it's campy. It's what I love. And like Raimi's horror leans into the cheese, but like knowingly. So it's like, it's not bad. Like he's like creating fine cheese. It's very finely crafted cheese from Switzerland or something. Like, it's not just American processed plastic cheese.
64 slices of processed cheese.
Government block of cheese. So yeah, I came out of it enjoying it, and the more I kind of sat on it and thought and let it just marinate, I came to really love it for the way that the antagonist was handled, for the character development that we saw for the antagonist and for the protagonist,
Mm-hmm.
and loving just that it was it featured. I love that it didn't do what some people thought it was going to do. I don't want to spoil anything else, but
Yeah.
it did feature some things,
Yeah.
and it didn't feature those things too heavily to distract from the actual plot. It was just like, here's a couple of fun things for you, and then it didn't do whatever. And I don't know if like some of the trailers made it out to be a certain way, but I wasn't like expecting a certain way from the movie. All I expected is this is a Doctor Strange movie directed by Sam Raimi that has these characters in it. Let's go. And it did what I wanted, it did what I needed, and it did that even more than I expected it to, I guess. And gave some really cool little Easter eggs or whatnot.
Lots of Easter eggs. Yeah.
Without spoiling just yet.
Before
8 out of
Lou
10 is what I would say.
gets started, I do want to say that you need to enjoy this movie. You do need to have been fairly caught up on some TV shows.
You needed
I
homework
think
to understand a lot of this.
Yeah, and I think my movie buddy isn't as, because we left and we talked about it, and I don't think that she had been watching. She goes to all the Marvel movies with me, but I don't know that she has watched any television. So I have the feeling she was a little bit lost throughout it.
Because this movie is really like the Secret Wars to Hickman's Avengers.
There's a
one
lot of
particular show.
There's a lot of payoff here. One thing that did surprise me was they pulled something from Hickman's Avengers run that I was like, oh, we're doing this. Okay, I like this.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. Okay. Jimmy Owens. Hey, dude, how's it going? Raphael says the movie did pretty well in explaining without knowing previous movies or TV shows. The Easter eggs surprised me so good.
There's just one TV show that I would say, like, no matter, because my wife never watched the first Doctor Strange, and it didn't matter for her.
Right.
But anyone going in without the knowledge, and I don't know how much this is a spoiler because we already know like who's in the movie, but
who's
like
in the movie, yeah,
without any knowledge of the one show that this is literally like a conclusion for, you're not gonna, like, you might get the gist of what's going on, like it might explain to you what happened, like it does give that exposition, but the exposition doesn't give you the same emotional context and resonance with that character's story as it would if you did spend those, however many hours watching their story play out on their TV series.
Right. And I have to go do something that's going to take 10 seconds. So I'm not trying to, I want to know what Lou has to say. But I'll be right back. So talk non-spoilery and I'll be right back. But don't say anything of substance, Lou, because I want to hear what you have to say.
I don't know how to dance around that.
Kids should not go watch this. This is definitely, I mean, well, it depends. Like a 10-year-old,
I think is a good, it's 10 to 13. I think 13 is a good age.
Yeah, this isn't one you bring your kids to like you would bring to, say, Black Panther or Captain Marvel or anything like that.
Can I say The Ring was PG-13, and I think The Ring would have made me shit myself more than this movie.
I don't,
because The Ring was my sister's first horror movie specifically because it was PG-13. She was like, she wanted to watch horror. She would always sneak horror movies out of our parents' DVD cabinet and get in trouble for it. And then I found, like, I went to the store and specifically picked out The Ring for her because it was PG-13.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, you can watch this. It's not rated R, but it's still scary. And it, scared the bejesus out of her. And like, that movie creeps the shit out of me. But like this movie, it's mostly the couple of jump scares and some really graphically violent pieces.
Yeah.
But they, in a lot of cases, cut. Like at the violent spot, they cut, so you don't actually see it. It's the implied violence, except for I want to say 2 moments of body horror that like you do get to see play out, and that like everyone has a different gauge for body horror because it's a different type of horror.
I forgot it was directed by Sam Raimi until I saw at the end that he directed it. So I didn't.
Like everything makes sense now.
Yeah. I don't know that I picked up on all the horror elements that everybody else did because I wasn't looking for them, or else they just bounced off me. Lou, how did you feel about this movie?
I'm genuinely surprised that this got a PG-13.
What did you think it should have had?
I think this could have gotten an R. I think they just squeaked away with the PG-13 on this.
Because of how much death? Blood?
There's a good amount of blood. There's a good amount of death in there. The main antagonist does certain things that kills certain characters. One in particular was just, whoa, that actually, it's oof. She turns one of the character's powers around on him, and I was like, oh fuck, that's that.
Yeah, okay, I know what scene you're talking about.
Yeah, that one I went, oh, that stuck with me.
Yeah.
So I'm really surprised they got away with it. I think they might have just squeaked away with that PG-13. I don't think this is the thing is when you go to a Marvel film, there's an expectation that you could bring pretty much any age and you'll be fine for the most part.
Yeah.
You can take your kids you can pretty much take your kids through Iron Man all the way to Infinity War and Endgame, and you'll be for the most part fine. This one, no, I don't think you should. I mean, I could probably take my 10-year-old because she loves horror and she'll probably dig it. But I think 10, 9, you're pushing it. You're pushing as far as what it should be allowed. But that's just everybody's different, right? Every parent is different. Yeah, this was a mixed bag for me. I don't necessarily know if I hated it or loved it, to be honest with you. I'm flat in the middle of this one. Because every time I'm watching it and going, I really don't like this, it wins me back with something really cool. And I kept going back and forth almost throughout the whole thing. So this is gonna require me watching it again. For me, this felt almost like a car crash of styles, and for me, it didn't necessarily work. This very much felt like Raimi was trying to fit his style to the MCU style, and the best parts of it for me was when you could clearly see this is Raimi 100%. Specifically the ending fight and how things play out in that. I was like, okay, this is the best part of the movie. This is really 100% all Raimi. It's got his it's got his stamp all over it. It's got his style all over it. But it just seemed like every time the Raimi stuff would get rolling, it would get derailed for me with, well, we're in the MCU. We have to do MCU stuff. We have to kind of set stuff up and everything like that. The big cameos, I kind of felt like, did we really need them necessarily? I don't think they necessarily added much other than, wow, that's cool that they're there and it introduces certain things. I'm not exactly sure if we needed them though. I will say, this is no spoiler because she's all over the marketing and stuff like that. This is Elizabeth Olsen's movie. She's great in this. She is so great in this. And thank you, friggin' baby Jesus, they got rid of that accent. They dropped that shit quick. She does not use it at all in this movie.
She's the titular mom of the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's the best part about this. She's 100% for me the best part about this, which isn't taking anything away from Benedict Cumberbatch, because I think he's great as Doctor Strange. I think he's fantastic. I think he does a great job with what they give him. But it just comes down to me. For a movie called Multiverse of Madness, they don't really play too much on the whole multiverse thing or do too much with it. You know, we get a quick glimpse of several other universes, and then, well, we're in Universe Prime and this universe, and that's pretty much it. And maybe it's my own expectations. I was like, well, okay, cool. We're going to kind of pull a Spider-Verse. And now I'm thinking, I bet Spider-Verse is going to be that movie that I thought this was going to be. And probably a lot more.
Spider-Verse was not the Spider-Verse at all.
But I'm talking about the new one.
Yeah, the new one, it looks like it is going to be, but like for a movie called Into the Spider-Verse, like you didn't really go into the Spider-Verse at all.
No, you didn't.
In this movie, it's not really called, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And, they show us a multiverse, and they show us, like, there were some pretty mad characters in there. So a couple people were really angry, and I think they both.
But the thing is, but the thing is, when you're playing with the concept of the multiverse and you're playing with a character as grandiose and powered as Doctor Strange, I don't think Raimi used his abilities to the full extent. This is Doctor Strange. Like, that, you can go wild with it. I personally think they did a lot more with Doctor Strange's abilities, for the most part, with the exception of a few things here and there, in the first film. I think they played a lot more with those concepts and, the mirror dimension and all that other stuff a lot more in the first film than in this one. In this one, he pretty much uses Wonder Woman's whip like 90% of the time in the movie, and he casts a few spells here and there, and I thought that was cool. But like I said, the best part for me was the ending
fights have some of the most creative magic that he's used.
The final fight is great. I'm not arguing against that.
Final fights, like the one and then the other.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And as the world's foremost #1 Elizabeth Olsen fan, this was amazing. She was amazing. Amazing.
Multiverse of mommies, man. I'm telling you.
I'll say this before we kind of finish up.
Okay.
This was clocked at 2 hours, and Jesus Christ, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I kind of wish it was longer.
Same.
I kind of wish there was more to this.
Dean is saying, give us the deleted 40 minutes.
I have the exact same reaction. It was my biggest issue, is that this movie moved forward at breakneck speed for so much of it. And I know that, like, whatever, like it worked, but at a lot of times, like, you could take a moment and sit back and breathe a little bit. I don't know, 40 minutes worth would be worth it. Also, I don't know if it was 40 minutes that was actually deleted. Like, I don't think it's the type of thing where there's, like, whenever they do a director's cut, like, it would actually be 40 minutes. It might just be, some storyboards and stuff that are sitting on the floor. But yeah, I agree. This is the one time ever that I've seen a movie and come out saying, like, they could have added another 30 minutes to it.
I think another 30 minutes would have been great to flesh out some relationships and certain characters. There's one particular character that's introduced in here that I felt almost nothing towards her. And that's more of, they didn't really give me much to care about her, other than a bumblebee. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. But it went by so quick that I was just like, oh, well, you didn't linger on that. You didn't give me enough time to actually do much with that. I'm gonna watch this again. I think after watching it again, I might come out liking a little bit more. But overall, it isn't a total whiff for me. But this would probably fall into the category of movies like Age of Ultron or Iron Man 2, where maybe in a year or so, I watch it again and I go, this was pretty good. I actually enjoy this a lot more than I thought I did.
I wonder if I enjoyed it more than you guys did because I forgot Sam Raimi was directing it. So and I went in actually with no knowledge or expectations of anything Raimi-esque. But I also wonder if I enjoyed it more. I mean, to the extent that I did. And by the way, internet, this is how a civilized discussion goes. When people don't agree on something, it's okay. Lou disagrees with me, and I'm like, well, that's fine. That's his opinion. And we both saw a movie differently, and that happens. Okay. There's no one right opinion. Opinions aren't facts. So just take it easy.
On that note, like, I had a comment earlier that someone made on one of my videos where they said, like, anyone who is saying that this is the worst movie is, and they were saying like some really just like rude assumption about people for not liking something. And I just commented back, or I replied like, or they just don't like the movie, and that's fine. And then they double down and they're like, no, because those people are just the type who they just can't handle dark storylines. And I'm like, no, they're just the type of person that this kind of movie didn't work for, and it's just their opinion, and it's fine. And have to dig into these people that like. There's a very real chance that these people are 20 something, 30 something year old, 40 something year old people, but I assume that they're 12 because that's that's the mindset and attitude that they have. I assume that they're 12 because it's like, why is it so, like, why do you have such a bug up your butt about people having a differing opinion than you? Like, if I got upset about every single time that one of you guys or anyone else, my friends, my family, my wife, like anyone that I know has a differing opinion about something as stupid as a movie, I would have killed myself a long time ago. Like, I'm sorry, like, that's not a life worth living. And there's a lot more important things to be upset about in this world than someone not liking a movie as much as you do. Like, I remember being in high school before the internet was really like the social shitstorm that it is now, and we watched a movie that like my friends and I really loved, and one of my friends was like, man, I just didn't like that. And we were like, ah, man, dang, that sucks. All right, let's go get ice cream or something. Like, who cares?
Yeah, and because we're different, and I think the other thing that maybe separates us is I think both of you are more look at movies more I don't want to say more critically than I do. If I say critically, I mean that you examine them deeper than I do. I think both of you have watched so many more movies. I mean, I've watched a lot of movies in my time, but I think both of you guys like watch movies all the time, and you have a different perspective. I kid Omar all the time that he hates everything because he looks at movies much more critically than I do. And when I say that, it's not that he looks at them and criticizes them, but he looks at them a lot deeper than I do. So, I mean, your points are well made, Lou, and I understand them. But I don't disagree with them. I just saw something I took in this movie differently than you did.
Yeah, dude, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I always say this, I don't ever go into any movie going, I can't wait to hate on this. No, because I spent $20 on just the ticket alone, and then $10 for parking, and then I get a little popcorn, so it's like $50 down the drain. I don't go spend $50 just to hate something like some of these idiots online do. It doesn't make any sense.
We want to love everything we see. That's the whole point of entertainment. I want to love every comic book I read. I'm more of a comic book critic than I am a movie critic. Maybe I understand comic books more than I understand movies. I think you, okay, here's what it is. I think both you guys are more students of film than I am.
I did study a little bit of it.
Yeah. I mean, I took a film class in college, so I'm not going to be, which I think is lucky for me, because I wasn't like a film major at USC hoping to direct movies. I know too much about movies that way. I want to, and the same goes with me and Taylor. I've always compared myself. I'm the one on the raft floating in the water, and Taylor's the one scuba diving down into the details. I just want the waves to wash over me and be happy. And if I didn't like something, well, I didn't like something. I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to say, well, it didn't work for me. But I'm not going to, as far as movies go. But I'm not going to be able to express exactly what didn't work for me in a movie. Here's a perfect example. Crazy Rich Asians, a movie that everybody seems to love.
My wife loves it.
I disliked that movie intensely. I thought it was a mean-spirited movie. But it was a box office smash. People loved it. And Crazy Rich Asians just didn't do it for me. And that's just an example. And then there's another movie that I just saw that I can't even explain why I loved it. What's it called again? Everything, Everywhere, All the Time.
All at once, yeah.
All at once, yeah.
All at once.
I'm dying to see it because I've got a feeling that's going to give me the Jones that I wanted from this.
I think so too, but I can't explain that movie to you. I tried to explain it to my wife a couple nights ago, and it was like I just stopped after about a minute or two. But because she was just looking at me, and I'm like, and that was a movie that my movie buddy and I both said our spouses would hate.
Yeah.
But we loved it. But we also couldn't explain anything in the movie, like what it was about. I mean, it had incredible heart and incredible everything. And so I can't pick apart what I loved about it. I just loved it. And I know my wife would hate it. People are like, what are you spending?
Talk spoilers.
Jess, yes. What? No, we're not looking at spoilers just yet. Yeah, maybe analytically is better than critically. Let's see.
I think critically is a fine term as well, because we're trying, like, both of the analytically and critically can both go hand in hand. But like, I think a lot of people want to put a negative tinge on the word critical, when like critical doesn't mean you're trying to shit on something. It just means, you're looking at it in a different, in a more serious tone of, a serious light. And it's something that like is taught. Like a lot of people who look at things in a more critical way learned that oftentimes from academia, like going to school for this kind of thing. That's why I look at a lot of things critically now, is because it was hammered into me by years of classes where I had to critically analyze things, whether it be fiction, like a film or a script or a book, or even like I had to critically analyze people's reviews and see what was good and bad about people's reviews of certain things, or just looking at other people's artwork in studio classes and learning to critically examine those things. And the main thing that they teach you is like how to be, or the main thing, at least for me, that a lot of people hammered into us, was how to be critically, like how to be critical respectfully. And that's a thing that, like, a lot of people don't put along with things, is like, you don't have to be disrespectful if you want to be negatively critical. You can be very respectful, and I've done that a lot. And the thing is that people are so unused to the idea of someone being respectfully critical that they almost they think that you're being positive. Like, I did a review on a book that I was very lukewarm about, and I was critical throughout, but I was very respectfully, I was like, this aspect worked okay, but I think it would have been better if this happened instead. But I'm hopeful that in the future that this writer is able to implement that kind of thing. And it was so positive that people legitimately were like, how did you give this a positive review? And I'm like, you need to go back and pay attention to everything I said, because it wasn't positive. I was just being constructive. At the end of the day, it's constructive criticism.
Right. And this is I think Raphael's right. This is what you want to see for the multiverse.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's going to give me, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. I mean, for a movie called Multiverse of Madness, I'm like, kind of expected maybe a bit more.
I think there was less multiverse and more madness in it.
Yes. That is, yeah. 100%.
Yeah. I think it sounds like what you're saying.
Do you want to blow this thing up and spoil this movie?
Okay, wait, let me say this. Okay.
There's a lot. We got to spoil some things. We're dancing around stuff too much.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody, if you haven't seen this yet, and Austin, no, I have not seen Prometheus yet. I want to, but I haven't yet. So everybody in the chat that hasn't seen it, get out. Get out. Get out. Okay, because we're spoiling it now. Spoil it.
So
I feel terrible for Gio. I feel so bad for Gio.
Oh, what?
Oh my God!
That he can't see these movies?
No,
that Black Bolt got his mind blown.
Black Bolt is in the movie. They show,
but he was in it. I thought it was a big deal that he was even in it.
They bring back Black Bolt from that horrible ABC series, and I'm like, oh wow, Gio is gonna be feeling so happy. And 10 minutes later, he has arguably the most gruesome death in the movie.
Was so
fucked me up. I was like, oh wow, okay.
That was one of the most gruesome deaths I've seen. That was like,
I think Wanda in that sequence of like just fucking annihilating the Illuminati one after the other was all of the proof that you needed that she is the most powerful being at this moment in the
absolutely. And it shows you why Agnes was genuinely scared of her when she figured it out in WandaVision.
And she, like, without her own body, like, she's in a weakened body, in a weakened state because she's dreamwalking or whatever they called it. So she doesn't even have full power, and she literally walks in.
Did they say that though? Did they say she doesn't have full power?
When you dreamwalk, you don't have full. You can't pay full attention because she has to control her body at the same time.
Oh, okay.
And that's why Strange was requesting that what's her name,
Christine.
Rachel McMommy was like gonna protect his physical body because he's like, we're gonna go some places and I need you to help me. Like, you need to. So she doesn't even have full like power at this point, and she literally just with 2 words, what mouth? She doesn't even need 3 words anymore. It's no more mutants. It's what mouth, and boom, she takes out after an example. Like, after they give us an example for a brief moment in that flashback sequence of the fact of like how powerful our guy like Blackagar Boltagon actually is in stuff. If you've never seen him before, you get that little like whisper of I'm sorry that just dustifies alternate Doctor Strange. And I was like, holy buttholes, like they're going there. And she just annihilates him with 2 words and he blows his own mind. And I was like, thank you. Like that set up the next like 30 minutes of just how that was going to go, and then turns Reed into fucking string cheese.
Yeah. Now that was the part that was full Sam Raimi. That Illuminati scene destruction, plus in 3D when the black demons from hell or whatever, the black skulls, those things were coming out of the screen like right at me. It was awesome when he was zombie Doctor Strange.
So we're kind of all over the place. So the movie starts with Cuban Doctor Strange, who is running down with America Chavez in another dimension, and they have to get the Book of Ashanti, which I love that part. I was like, all right, cool. We're kind of bringing the Book of Ashanti, and we're diving more deeper into the lore and stuff like that. She breaks through. Cuban Doctor Strange ends up dying. She brings the body back through the star portal, and she ends up in the 616, which I also love the fact that they fucking clarified this is the 616 universe, which I had always thought, well, the comics universe and the movie universe it's two separate things, so I guess they're kind of just ignoring that, but whatever. I'm a fucking nerd, so that's fine. And the movie, and it starts out with a wedding. I really like the wedding stuff. This to me was one of the most Sam Raimi parts. This felt like early 2000 Spider-Man, and I liked it. I like that part. It felt like a real throwback to those old early 2000s Sam Raimi style Spider-Man films. I really dug that a lot.
There's an extremely important piece in the wedding scene that like sets up the rest of the character, like, and it leaves Doctor Strange by the end of the movie in a position emotionally that I think that he's going to continue going down in future appearances, where we see how much guilt he feels over the decision that he had to make with Thanos. And someone asks him, they talk to him, and he's like, I was gone because they're like, long time no see. He's like, well, I was gone for 5 years. He's like, well, me too. When I got back, I lost my cat. What did you lose? And then he's like, I also lost my brother.
Yeah.
And Steven, like, it's an emotional reaction. And the guy asks him, like, did it have to go that way? Is that really the only choice? And Steven says something that is kind of repeated throughout the film of, there was no other way. And he's constantly derided for making that decision, like not that particular decision, but for stating multiple times throughout the movie, like, there's no other way, there's no other way. Christine, who winds up playing a magnificent role in this movie, in my opinion, she is part of she's a big part of who's dragging him down for that, saying like, every single Strange across the multiverse is the same way, that they all have this kind of ultimatum view on the things that they do. There's no other way. There's no other
kind
way.
of arrogance
Exactly.
they
And
all
it's
have.
a very, very Doctor Strange thing, his arrogance. But like, he's stated this. He says, there was no other way. I looked for every other path. There was nothing else I could do. But even though he states that and is confident in that, you can tell he feels that way. He is disturbed by what it inadvertently caused, the pain that it caused so many people who disappeared for 5 years, who had people that they loved disappear for 5 years. And he's been living with that. And then the second question comes, and that is after the ceremony, and he's getting a drink, and he sees Christine come up to him, and they start talking, and she asks him, "Are you happy?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "Yes, I'm happy." And that's resonant throughout the rest of the film. He says yes, but anyone who's dealt with any sort of depression on any level knows that yes didn't mean anything.
Right.
This to me was kind of a huge character shift from where he was at in the last few films, and I think for me at least, it came suddenly, because this was a character that in the last few films he was 100% certain on his actions. He's like, no, I know exactly what I did, why I did it, and I would do it again 100%, because he knew that in that situation that was the outcome that would work, because he did the whole thing in Infinity War and stuff like that. So for me, this was kind of a huge shift, and I kind of would have liked to have seen them gradually maybe move into that more. But this is also the thing where this movie is 2 hours long, and they kept the ball. I will say I was never bored, which is always my biggest sin for any film. If I'm bored, good or bad, if I'm bored, I just turn it off. I'm just like, I'm not finishing this. I don't care about this. Whatever, you bored me completely. It happened with Lady Bird. It happened with the Bum movie that everybody critically loved, and it happened with Eternals, where I fell asleep halfway through it. This
I
never
haven't
bored
seen
me.
that yet.
Don't. It's fine. Watch the cliff notes. So, but I do wish that we got more of that shift of him going into the character that he is in this movie, where he does feel the sense of maybe I fucked up, maybe I didn't do this right, or maybe there was another way to get around it and stuff like that. But the movie's not really concerned too much with that. It sets it up, but it doesn't really explore it too much for me.
But it
And
leads
I,
him by the end.
I think we're
Even when
gonna
he
get more of that.
even when
Because
he meets the Doctor Strange that has the book, the ability to show him the Book of Ashanti, that
Which one?
Doctor
Yes.
Strange, I think they had pretty much a heart to heart about being happy and questioning the choices they had to make.
It's all these moments though, they happen so brief. For
Yeah.
Yeah.
me, I would
Okay.
have liked to have seen a little bit more build up to those moments and a little bit more fleshing out some of those concepts.
Where we leave him though by the end of the movie in regards, because that same question comes back at the end when he asks Wong the same thing, and Wong has a very introspective, very Wong answer.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a thing that like we don't get an answer for Steven. We don't he's now coming around to the realization that like he's stating that he is happy because maybe that's the easiest thing for him to do. And he has always been confident in his decisions and confident in all his things. And he finally has a reason to not be. And now he's left at the end of this with like, how do I find happiness? Like saving the entire universe didn't bring me happiness. It didn't, because it really wasn't about his happiness. But at the end of the day, it's like, I don't have, the woman that I was in love with. And he admits to her. He had that really emotional scene
Right.
where he says to Christine, to alternate Christine, like, I'm in love with you. And I always have been, and I always will be. And it's not that I don't want to love you or I don't want to love, but I can't. I can't do it. And it was such a like heavy comment that he made. Like for me, like I was like, oh damn, like that it really hit. And I think like, where we set up by the end of the movie with the post-credit scene, the mid-credit scene, knowing what character we have could lead towards him, finding a happiness elsewhere.
Yeah, he's afraid. He admits he's afraid. And
So
she says, face your fears.
it was huge for his, because I've seen people saying there was no character development. I'm like, this has the most character development.
No, I disagree with that. There is character development here. I just wish it was more gradual. And again,
Yeah.
I so fucking wish this was a little bit longer. I will almost never say this about a movie, but I
Yeah.
wish this had another 30 or 40 minutes tacked onto it.
Mm.
If we could pull about 30 minutes away from the Batman and put it over here, I would have been.
Oh, I loved all 3 hours of the Batman.
I almost never say this, but I really wish we got another 30 minutes to explore some more of this stuff. And clearly at the end they say Doctor Strange will return. So I'm like, okay, well, we know there's planning something else out, another movie or whatever. And then the post-credit scene, the first one, pretty much hints at pretty much gives you that confirmation.
When Clea shows up,
Yeah.
and tears the hole, and
That
it's
was cool.
Charlize Theron. I was like,
Let's go.
oh, I want
That
that
was really
movie
cool.
right now.
Yeah,
That was really cool.
That was a scene. That like so the implications of that scene were amazing, but I wasn't crazy about the scene itself. Like it was a little like dashed together, I felt, and too quick.
I thought it was too quick too.
But it was like, okay, yeah, because they mentioned incursions earlier in the movie, and that was where I was like, oh,
Riley, you're breaking up a little bit for me. Is he breaking
Oh.
up for anybody else?
Sorry.
He was
No, it's fine. You're
now.
okay. Shoot, I lost my train of thought. We haven't seen Clea before, right?
Right.
This is the first time we've seen her, and it's freaking Charlize Theron, which is I don't know. She made me number 2 on my list next to Elizabeth Olsen. So I'm extremely pleased with whatever the next Doctor Strange movie is going to be.
I have to go really soon, but I want to
Okay.
give some
Hayden says you're not breaking up. Okay.
Let's jump to the money shot real quick. The Illuminati. What
Okay.
did you guys think?
Okay. I felt they were incredibly important to the whole thing. Everybody was arrogant because of their experience with their Doctor Strange, that this Doctor Strange couldn't be trusted and was wrong. And Professor X, who I love seeing Professor X. I love seeing John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. I love seeing Black Bolt. I want John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. I don't want young 25-year-old Mr. Fantastic. I want older and wiser Mr. Fantastic. So I have no problem with it. I loved all those characters. I love the Black Bolt. Anson Mount was in it. And I
love his costume.
Oh, and I'll tell you what got spoiled for me. I had no idea that what's her name? Agent Carter was going to be in this as freaking Captain America.
That was trailer. Okay.
Haley Atwell. That's what it was. I got that spoiled for me, and I was like, frick. I didn't know Agent Carter was going to be in this. But then I found out she was Captain America in it, and I was like, oh, nothing really got spoiled for me.
Yeah, that was in, I think, one of the more recent trailers. I was spoiled on that too.
Yeah, me too. I was spoiled, even though I don't watch these. I'm with Riley on this right now, actually. I'm a one trailer and done guy. I'm not going to watch anything else for Love and Thunder until the movie comes out.
Oh, I'm always that way with everything.
What's the deal lately with Marvel? What's the deal with that? You know,
what is the deal with Marvel spoiling their own movies?
What the fuck was that with this film? That was
they did it with Spider-Man 2, I think.
No. They gave away Green Goblin. They gave away Doc Ock, mostly because I think that stuff was going to get out eventually. Because
I didn't know about Green Goblin, and I didn't know. That's why I didn't watch a thing for Spider-Man. And Green Goblin got spoiled for me by somebody that came to my house for a party and told me, "Oh, I see that." What's his name? Whoever plays Green Goblin,
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe. I saw Willem Dafoe's in the movie. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. But apparently the rest of the world did because he was in the freaking trailer.
Dude, and they fought tooth and nail. No, Toby isn't in this movie. No, Andrew Garfield is not in this movie. Andrew Garfield's going on TV shows and stuff saying, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'm not in the movie, so don't worry about it. But in this, they're like, yeah, we've got Professor Xavier.
You knew that those people were going to be in it?
Dude, it's in the Xavier
and Carter. Those were the first full trailer. They had Professor Xavier's voice and the back of his bald ass head. Yeah, and then one of the next trailers I didn't watch, but it was spoiled for me, had Captain Carter, and you saw her shield and stuff.
Not only that, you can very clearly see in the first trailer the number 4 on John Krasinski's chest.
I never saw it. You guys didn't watch anything. You got to go in blind like me.
Okay, out of all that stuff, so I know we mentioned the violence and stuff, and I mentioned how much I like that with her just taking them down. But the part about the Illuminati sequence that was the most exciting for me personally was, and this is going to be dumb, but it's like when Reed comes out, when he comes through, and Steven says something to him about, like, wasn't the Fantastic Four around in the 60s?
Yeah.
Well, it was a band. Oh my god, yes.
It was a band reference.
They are.
It was a what?
What?
It was a what reference?
He says, weren't they a band in the 60s?
Oh, I thought he said, weren't they around in the 60s?
Dude, I thought of the same thing you did, and I'm like, are we doing a period piece in the 1960s, and then we're going to bring them in, which is what I've been fucking saying for years.
Yeah.
You need to do it as a period piece. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, no, he said, weren't you guys a band in the 60s? I'm like, fuck.
I thought he said, weren't you around in the 60s?
I heard band. Weren't you guys a band in the 60s?
Okay, well maybe he did say weren't you around, and I don't know if
Did
anyone
they
else
chart
can-
in the 60s? That's what he said. There it is.
Oh, okay, Bast.
Yeah.
Didn't they chart in the 60s? Okay, Bast says, okay. Well, these are the little things that, make up these are the little things that make a movie, so we need to get them right.
Right.
And I loved the first of all, I love Stephen Strange going the Illuminati when he on 616, in a version of 616, he's in the Illuminati.
Yeah.
And
this is pure fan service, by the way.
I get that.
100% fan service.
I totally get that. Yeah.
I think I'm of the opinion I think that could have been cut out. I'm not saying it's bad fan service. I'm an MCU fan. I'm a Marvel Comics fan. I loved every second they're up there.
Yeah.
I'm like, this could probably be cut out. I'm glad it's there.
But then it showed you how powerful Wanda really was.
It does. Yes,
she just dispatched of them pretty much. I mean, Riley's right. In some other Wanda's body, dispatches them like not even using magic, just saying what mouth and turning Reed into spaghetti and showing that the Illuminati were actually arrogant in not worrying about her.
Even cutting Captain Carter in half with her own shield.
Oh, I know. I bet that whole part is in the deleted scene. You see half her body on the ground.
I have a few minutes, but before I get out of here, I wanted to push specifically on, and y'all can return back to whatever, but like on Wanda as the antagonist of this movie, because, and I know that these words are thrown around a lot by a lot of people, but I don't say this lightly because I never say this after any of these movies, but Wanda is by and far my favorite antagonist that we've had in the MCU, and honestly, one of my favorite antagonists in all of fiction. Because they're not, this is why I loved her in this. They're not treating her, I hesitate to use the term villain, because nobody in this film uses anyone that knows her, Strange, Wong, the people who know Wanda are trying to help her,
appeal to her good human side.
Try to make sure she realizes what you're doing is not good, Wanda. You know that. Please stop.
Right.
And she's driven by this motherly just force about her of I need my babies.
And here's the thing, unless you're a parent, I don't think those moments will hit as hard. I mean, you can feel sympathy for her and you'll get it, but I think unless you're a parent, you won't feel the weight necessarily of that 100%, because you will do anything for your kids to protect them.
But
in this case, Wanda had hers taken away, despite the fact that they weren't real.
Right.
To her, they were. And they were taken away from her.
This is the universe where Wanda doesn't have children. She created a whole city and scene where she did, but this is the one where she doesn't. So she needs to accept that fact, but she didn't. Yeah. And of course, she asked Mr. Fantastic, "Do you have something to the effect of do you have a family, or do you have kids?"
He says, "I have kids," and she says, "Do they have a mother?" And he goes, "Yeah."
Oh,
good. So there will be someone there to take care of them.
Right.
Yeah. Which to me just confirmed. Okay, so we've got Franklin Richards is coming to the MCU.
Yeah.
One of arguably the most powerful character. Arguably the most powerful character in comics.
So now Scarlet Witch is going to meet her match in a child.
So do we agree that Scarlet Witch isn't dead? No, all we saw was all of Mount Wundagore fall on top of her.
Yeah, no, because after that was when she destroyed the Darkhold. So she just took care of the Darkhold after that happened, I believe. Isn't that right?
Oh, I thought she destroyed the Darkhold and it all fell on top of her. Wait.
Either way, I wouldn't, whether I'm wrong or right, I don't believe that she's dead.
No,
I don't think she's dead either.
She's
And
not.
I
She's
think
not
it's
dead.
going to be a very serious journey of self-discovery about her now that she like realizes what everyone was telling her is true when they were telling her like, Wanda, what happens to the other, like to the kid's actual mother? And she doesn't really take that in until she sees with her own
Yeah.
eyes that these kids are not her kids.
Yeah.
That they're the other Wanda's children, and they see
Right.
her as a monster. And she says, she tries to defend her actions by saying, I'm not a monster, I'm not a monster. And they look at her in fear and cry. And it's like that feeling of being a parent and looking at your kids who are looking at you in the most, you know, disgusted and most frightful way is like completely
Yeah.
tears her apart and rips her to where she cannot be physically defeated, but she is taken down by her own emotions. And that was the most perfect way, I think, to dispatch her, was literally, as
Yeah.
America says, like, I can't stop you, so I'm just going to give you what you want. Because she knew like, if I do it, like, she's going to see that what she wants is not good. And it finally broke her out of that like mentality of what she has had pushing for this thing so heavily that it tears her apart from the inside. And I thought that was so wonderfully done, and so like when you've been following that character throughout, and this is why WandaVision is like the most important thing.
Right. You
But
have to see this before you see the Doctor Strange
going
movie.
from Wanda's introduction as a, you know, a Hydra like member, then being brought in as an Avenger, hesitantly like acting as a hero, being forced to make the sacrifice play of killing her husband, which amounted to nothing, and then going through this just mental uh anguish, creating a world to try and bring her love back, creating more love, just to have all of that ripped from her. Like, she's not well. And I don't think that this movie leans into trying to say like Wanda is insane. It's like, this is a woman who's been dragged through so much.
Mm.
He is having an emotional response, which, in my opinion, is completely relatable and it's understandable. And she needed to have the people who know and care about her try to pull her back. Not once in this movie would I state Wanda Maximoff is a villain. She is the antagonist. She is frightening. She is a monster. But she is just a woman who loves her children and wants them back. And she has to come to term with the fact that they never existed in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys feel, maybe this is probably just me, maybe some of the dialogue was a bit hokey, or maybe it was the delivery of some of the, I can't point to one specifically right now, I'd have to watch it again, but some of it was like, it was a bit.
Yeah, that for me, like, I'm not
Well-
saying it has to be fine, but that for me was just, it was Raimi. Like,
I didn't
Yeah.
pick up on any of that.
Yeah.
there
No,
are some,
But I see. I doubt on seeing it again that I will see the cheese and the cheese dialogue. I didn't pick up on it the first time, and I doubt I will the next 45 times I see this movie. But if that was your opinion, then that's your opinion. But I can't add anything to what Riley just stated perfectly about Wanda. Perfectly.
No.
I know
Look,
I don't have kids, but like I've been through a lot, and it like it hit me really
Yeah.
low.
Jess, you and I have kids, and we both would probably go to almost the extent that Wanda did in order to protect our kids. I know I would, in a heartbeat. Honestly.
If my real child,
Yeah.
yeah, made up children, she needs therapy. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I'm not disagreeing with that.
But yeah, sure, we'd do anything to save our kids. We'd
Yeah.
give our own lives in 2 seconds to save our own kids. No question.
I've
So
got
kind
to jump. So
Okay, well, I
that was
think-
the thing that I wanted to talk about.
Well,
was,
you nailed it perfectly, Riley. I can't add anything to what you said.
you.
It was 100% accurate and emotionally perfect what you said.
who I absolutely freaking loved the music fight and
That was cool.
That
was
music fight
okay,
was
see,
amazing.
See, here's the thing. That music fight all the way to the end, I'm like, this is Raimi. This is 100% Raimi. This is what I came to see. This creativity. This is what I loved. The way that Strange uses the dark hold to possess the corpse, and then he uses the dark spirits to attack Wanda. Raimi,
Yeah.
100%.
100%.
100% Raimi.
I
There was
see
comedic
that.
moments that hit, and I was like, wow, this is. If you've seen Evil Dead, if you've seen his work before, you know, this is Raimi. This is 100% him. I love this. I wish the whole fucking movie was this. I wish we got more of that.
And the sequence, really quickly, the sequence
Kamatage?
where she gets trapped and then in the water and stuff,
Oh.
going through the reflections.
Raimi.
Oh,
100%. 100%
oh my
Raimi.
god. Okay, I'm gonna go. Those are all the things I want to talk about.
Hayden's right here.
Oh boy.
I love that they bring in the incursions. The concept of the incursions, which fucking Marvel owes so much to Hickman over the last few years. They really need to cut that guy the biggest check, because a lot of the best and biggest idea they've been using for the MCU has been from that Hickman Avengers run.
Yeah, right.
So I'm gonna go.
All right, thanks, dude. And where can they find you on the internet? And we'll give our IST plug right after you leave.
Omnibus Collector, YouTube, Omnibus Collector on TikTok. On TikTok's where I do more of the comic talk, and on YouTube, that algorithm shoehorned me into the manga stuff, but that's fine. It needed me. And then Instagram, I don't really do anything but Omnibus Collector. And then Twitter, I'm trying to get into Omni Collector. So that's those are my things, my handles. You can find me there.
Right on, man. And you can peace out, dude. So let me just talk about instocktrades.com real quick, where you can get your collected editions up to 48, 65, 55, a lot of different percentages off you can get on your books at instocktrades.com. Tack on 2% for loyalty discount that you get. That's a nice percentage. And at the end of every month, we give away a $50 gift card to IST, courtesy of IST, to a lucky viewer out there. $50 or more in an order gets you free shipping in the United States. Fabulous customer service, fabulous packaging. That's instocktrades.com. And I know Danny Elfman could play this better than I can. Okay, that's it. Danny Elfman is amazing still.
His score was great. I really dug his score.
Yeah. So we're pretty much done, except that you and I need to discuss the very, 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 very last scene.
Yes.
Where Bruce Campbell, since we're spoiling it, is a feature in a lot of Sam Raimi's films. And it was great seeing him do the cameos, the hot dog the pizza puff salesman in that world. That Strange casts a spell that makes him hit himself for 2 weeks. And I thought that was at the end, I thought it was a great homage to his fist turning in Evil Dead 2. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a great homage, and he said it's over, and then then it goes black. What didn't you like about that?
It was I don't know. I guess I was like, fuck, because I'm really looking forward to what's next in the MCU, and I think I was eagerly awaiting. Oh man, we're getting 2 stingers. Maybe we're gonna have the Fantastic Four. Maybe a reference to that or something like that. It was more my own expectation. I thought it was cute, and I was like, oh, damn it, you really don't need to stay around for it unless you're really a lover of Raimi and his stuff. I don't think you'll get the full extent of what he was going for there.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. So, you were expecting a leap into the next movie that we might see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe a hint at something that's to come. I mean, granted, we got a pretty cool. I didn't know Charlize Theron was in anything MCU related. That caught me off guard completely. When she showed up, I was like, "Holy shit, that's Charlize Theron!" Okay.
Yeah. As Clea that opens up the multiverse.
Yeah.
And he's got his third eye, and she says, wait, does she say, I forget now, I'm forgetting what he says. I think he's says, "I'm not afraid," or he's faced his fears. What does he
Something like
say
that.
to her? Something like, maybe somebody in the chat knows what he said exactly to her, but it's clear that Christine had said, he had said to her, "Don't be afraid." He had said, "I'm afraid," and she said, "Face your fears." And when he
I'm
got
not
the,
afraid, I think.
I think he said, "I'm not afraid," something like that. Here's what I mean, how did he? I forget. Was his exchange with that Doctor Strange with the third eye? That's obviously where he got the third eye.
Mm-hmm.
But how did he get the third eye?
When he was talking to Negative Strange, I guess that's what we'll refer to him as.
Okay,
or
is
the
that
evil,
Negative Strange? Okay.
yeah, the evil Doctor Strange from the other dimension and stuff like that. He had it as well. I think he got it from, if my understanding is correct, absorbing the dark spirits in the dark hole. Because remember,
Oh,
that's my understanding of it, is that
okay.
he got it from that.
From the Darkhold.
From absorbing all those spirits and all that other stuff and gaining control of them and everything. And again, I fucking love that whole sequence with him using the spirits and the dark hold and using the corpse and everything like that. That is so Raimi, and that is, oh my god, that's what I wanted. I wanted more of that.
Yeah, that's right, Bast. He got it from the Darkhold. Okay, good. Thank you.
I could go back and watch those last 30 to 40 minutes just by itself and be super happy.
Uh-huh.
I loved every single moment of that.
Yeah. Well, you should try and see it in real 3D because the whole movie, we had the wrong glasses for the Avatar that was in 3D, and my movie buddy and I were like, "This isn't 3D," and so she went out and got the right glasses. So I never saw Avatar or even the beginning of the Doctor Strange movie in 3D, but I missed maybe the first 1 minute of the battle that the movie opens with. But then once we got the real 3D glasses, man, that movie is an experience in 3D.
Mm-hmm.
If you like 3D,
Yeah,
it's not fake 3D. It feels, I mean, they call it real D 3D. I don't, maybe it doesn't have to be shot in 3D now. They can do it in the editing room or whatever. But those spirits came right at you in the
that's
theater.
cool.
And
That's
that was
really cool.
really boss.
I'm jealous of that. That's really cool.
I think he said not in the least when she asked if he was afraid. Okay.
Also, I really liked Wong in this movie. I mean, I've always liked Wong. He's great. I love the fact that he's the Sorcerer Supreme in this on a technicality,
Yeah.
because Strange was gone for 5 years.
Right.
And they play with that a little bit where Wong goes, it's customary for you to bow to the Sorcerer Supreme when you meet him.
And he did bow at the end.
He did. He did bow at the end. So I'm glad that they just didn't hand Strange over the title of Sorcerer Supreme, even though he's arguably at the point where he's probably more powerful than Wong is.
Yeah.
Especially towards the end of the movie. But he still hasn't really earned that title yet. So that's got to be coming eventually, maybe in the next movie or somewhere down the line. He's going to eventually get the title for it. So again, didn't hate it, didn't love it. I want to go back and watch it again. I wish there was more of the Raimi stuff, like I said, than there was of the MCU stuff, because to me, the Raimi stuff was the more fun stuff. The whole her attack on Comertage, I thought that was really fun, and the use of water and the mirrors, and then how she killed Professor X, and
with the red cloud coming behind him, snapping his neck,
and the whole,
and you could see Wanda in her mind, innocent Wanda that he was trying to save, and you knew that she had been corrupted for sure at that point.
Yeah. I really like that. I also liked. This thing has some gnarly kills, man.
Oh,
I mean, we mentioned it briefly, but this thing again,
All the Illuminati deaths were gnarly.
Yeah, not for the kids. This thing has some really gnarly kills, and yeah, so it's more of that stuff. America Chavez was okay.
Tyler Blunt noticed this and pointed it out to me, Hayden. I didn't notice it, but Tyler noticed it also, that the X-Men theme played. I thought America Chavez, I don't know how to pronounce her first name. Xochitl.
I don't know, dude.
I thought she did a really good job. I really loved her. But this is how you have a conversation about movies where two people disagree. We just disagree.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Lou sees it again and likes it. Maybe he doesn't. That doesn't affect my world where I give it a 10 out of 10 because I loved it so much. He gives it a 5 out of 10. I can live with that. It doesn't affect my enjoyment of the movie.
I mean,
it's pronounced Xochi. Okay, thank you.
I mean, I guess we don't really do the ranking thing too much here. I guess if I were to give it a score, probably be a 7.
Okay, well, that's better than I thought you were going to give it.
7, 6.5 in that area. Again,
yeah.
I didn't hate this. I absolutely did not hate this. I wanted something a little bit more, and maybe my expectations were just too high, and that's on me. I don't know. I didn't hate it. I thought it was pretty good. It was just okay.
Okay. And I apologize to the chat. All your comments were noted, but I couldn't get to them in time. All your opinions are valid. If I didn't get to it, it doesn't mean I disagreed with it. It just meant that we got in a roll. When Riley was talking, I wanted the stage to be his for that final analysis of Wanda because it was spot on perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Riley's what he said. And I didn't want to go to the chat and interrupt anything, especially when Riley was talking. So nothing personal, chat. All your comments noted and appreciated. I just didn't get a chance to get to them. I always appreciate the chat. I appreciate. Thank you to Lou, where can you be found, Lou, on the internet?
You can find me at ComicsGuide101 on Twitter, where I just ramble on about almost anything. Really, I don't even talk too much comics on there, to be honest with you. But you can find me at ComicsGuide101 on Twitter and ComicsGuide101 on YouTube. If you like this conversation, Gabe and I will be doing another spoiler cast this Sunday on Patreon. Where I've talked enough about it, but I am curious to hear what Gabe has to say about it. So that's going to be at the $5 level down below in the description. $5 gets you in, and Gabe and I will be talking about the movie as well, and you could join us in on the conversation. So like Jess and I are doing right now, you could jump in to the video chat, and we can talk all about this thing.
And it's no holds barred. It's an OmniBros After Dark. And I will highlight this last comment just because I agree with it 100%. Wanda is now my Marvel Harley. Before this, she was my Marvel Harley, but I agree with Hayden 100%. She's my version of. I love Harley and I love Elizabeth. Well, I love Elizabeth Olsen's. Well, I also love Margot Robbie as Harley. I don't know if I'd appreciate anybody else in those roles in the movies, though. I mean, Elizabeth Olsen has to be the Scarlet Witch until she's in her 90s, and then she can become like old Agatha Harkness or whatever. Wait, this is funny. Does this mean the Inhuman Omnibus not coming? It's coming, and the DM variant will be Headless Black Bolt. Poor Black Bolt. He gets his moment in the movies, and his head gets blown off. Okay, so please feel free to like our show, subscribe, like, and peace and love. Thank you to everybody that watched. We appreciate you all. People watching afterwards, people that have lurked, we love you all. Thank you very much. Peace and love.